In the previous video, we talked to you about a series of stories about the development of surface ships in the Chinese Navy, such as Type 055 destroyers, Type 054B frigates, and other new generation of main ships. Today, let's talk about the development of the Chinese Navy's naval guns. For a long time, the Chinese Navy has been using double-barreled naval guns, such as Type 76 naval guns, Type 79 naval guns, etc. However, after the 2010s, the Chinese Navy has been using double-barreled naval guns. However, after the 2010s, the Chinese Navy began to fully use single-barrel naval guns. Today, we will talk about this issue. For a long time, the Chinese Navy was very short of all kinds of large and medium-sized surface ships, and formed a coastal defense model with shore-based fighters, underwater submarines, and all kinds of speedboats, such as missile boats, patrol boats, torpedo boats, etc. After the 1970s, with the development of Chinese industry, the Chinese Navy started to use single-barrel guns. After entering the 70s, with the improvement of China's industrial level, China and the Soviet Union on the basis of Type 56 destroyers, began to develop the first generation of domestic 051 destroyers, also known as brigantine-class destroyers in Europe and the United States. 051 series of destroyers, with a full loaded displacement of more than 3,000 tons. The design framework in all aspects belonged to the level of European and American ships in the 1950s and 1960s. Because of the absolute main force, 051 series destroyers built 17 ships one after another, from the mid-70s, has been developed to the early 90s. 51 series destroyers pay great attention to firepower striking ability. The bow, the stern are mounted with a Type 76 130mm double-barreled gun, from the Type 66 130mm shore defense gun. Based on the further development, the maximum range is 27 kilometers and the maximum rate of fire is 15 rounds per minute. In terms of range and striking power, the Type 76 gun was very good. However, in terms of rate of fire, striking accuracy, type of ammunition, system automation and other aspects, and the same period of Europe and the United States naval guns, the gap is obvious. Even with the Soviet naval guns of the same period, there is also a certain gap. At the same time, the volume is on the large side, taking up a lot of space on the ship. As we all know, after entering the 80s, China and Europe and the United States entered a very valuable honeymoon period. China began to contact the advanced technologies, weapons and systems of European and American countries, which played a significant role in promoting China's national defense modernization after the 1990s. China utilized this exposure to develop a new generation of naval guns, and in the mid to late 1980s, the Type 79 twin-barrel 100mm gun was finalized, and became the standard for all Chinese surface ships. Compared with the previous Type 76 gun, the Type 79 gun was significantly upgraded in all aspects. The total weight of the gun is 34 tons, with a maximum firing height of 15 kilometers and a maximum range of 22.5 kilometers. Muzzle initial velocity of 916 meters per second. The maximum rate of fire of 25 rounds per minute. Double barrel 50 rounds per minute. With the adoption of the second generation digital commander, Type 343 gun sighting radar, stabilized targeting system, etc., both the level of automation and the striking accuracy appeared to be significantly improved. Due to its relatively light weight, it was able to be installed and used not only in destroyers, but even in 1,000-2,000 ton frigates. Starting from the late 80s and ending at the beginning of the 21st century, the last ships of the 051 series of destroyers, 2 Type 052 destroyers, 1 Type 051B destroyer, 4 Type 053H2G frigates, 10 Type 053H3 frigates and other ships, were installed with Type 79 guns. Later, on the basis of the Type 79 gun, China launched the further upgraded and improved Type 79A gun. After entering the 21st century, part of the 053 series frigates, mid-term upgrading and improvement, also replaced the use of the 79A type gun, using the stealth processing. It must be said, as of the early 21st century, 79A type gun belongs to the PLA Navy destroyers, frigate standard. However, the Type 79A gun was not perfect, such as firing accuracy and rate of fire. Therefore, after entering the early 21st century, China has built 052B, 052C, 051B destroyers, 054 frigates, did not continue to use the 79 type double-barrel gun. The Chinese Navy began to develop a different approach to the single-barrel gun. The 12 destroyers or frigates mentioned above are equipped with the newly developed Type 87 100mm single-barrel gun, which has a very obvious French origin and is further copied and upgraded by China on the basis of the French T100C gun. According to the introduction, the 87 type naval gun, the weight of the gun is only 17 tons, muzzle velocity of 870 meters per second, the maximum rate of fire of 90 rounds per minute, the maximum range of 17.5 kilometers, the effective range of 12 kilometers. In addition to the range is not as good as the 79 type naval gun, in all other aspects, obviously better than the 79 type naval gun. As a result, the Type 87 gun became the standard equipment for all kinds of large and medium-sized ships of the Chinese Navy before the 2010s. However, the Type 87 gun was also a temporary transition. As a result, in the 1990s, China's technical level was limited, and the imitation of the French T100C was not fully successful, and there were still some technical problems. 87 type guns were equipped on only 12 destroyers and frigates. After entering the 2010s, the Chinese Navy began to use completely different caliber guns on its destroyers and frigates, with very distinct mission differences. First, the Navy developed the Type 054 frigate with the new PJ-26 76mm gun. This series of guns was further developed by China on the basis of the Russian-made K-176 gun. According to the introduction, the system has a total weight of 16.5 tons, a maximum range of 15.5 kilometers, a maximum rate of fire of 120 rounds per minute, and a muzzle velocity of 980 meters per second. The PJ-26 76mm gun is not only equipped with the PLA Navy's Type 054 and Type 056 frigates, but also on various marine police ships of the Marine Police Force, such as Type 718B, Type 818, Type 301, Type 501 Marine police ships, etc. The PJ-26 76mm gun is also used on the PLA Navy's Type 054 and Type 056 frigates. After entering the 2010s, China's development of the 052D destroyers, 055 destroyers, all use the domestic 130mm single-barrel gun. Among them, the 052D destroyer uses the domestic PJ-38 single-barrel 130mm gun. The weight of the gun is 50 tons, with a maximum rate of fire of 40 rounds per minute and a maximum range of 29.5 kilometers. It is capable of firing extended-range rockets and artillery missiles. Due to its limited weight, the PJ-38 had to use a single feed mode. At the same time, the muzzle of the gun is retrofitted with a retractor, which has a certain impact on the shooting accuracy. After all, the 052D destroyer, with a full load displacement of only 7,000 tons, could not install a more comprehensive gun. As for the 13,000-ton 055 destroyer, there is no problem in this regard, using a more comprehensive performance of the PJ-45 a 130mm gun. In many ways, it fully benchmarks the 127mm gun family developed by Italy or the United States. In short, since entering the 2010s, the PLA Navy has built a variety of new ships, has completely abandoned the double-barreled gun thinking, clean use of single-barreled gun model. At present, the number of ships using double-barreled guns in the PLA Navy is getting smaller and smaller, and has entered the era of stock. With the gradual decommissioning of all kinds of old ships, the double-barreled naval gun will step by step completely out of the historical stage.